Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. We're going to stay in a mystical state of mind with my next Bob's pick for tonight. And it's another film starring Malcolm McDowell, Alex in our last movie, A Clockwork Orange. This is a much less cynical and less known movie, but a great thriller with an interesting premise. What if the famous sci-fi writer H.G. Wells didn't make up his famous story of the time machine, but actually lived it before taking pen in hand and writing that story? Well, that's what our movie suggests. It's called Time After Time. It was made in 1979, 8 years after A Clockwork Orange, and Malcolm McDowell plays H.G. Wells in it. In the story, Mr. Wells takes a trip through time to San Francisco in 1979, not for a vacation, but because he's trying to chase down Jack the Ripper, who's used a time machine to escape the law in London in the 1800s. Well, coming to the aid of Mr. Wells in the 20th century is a ditzy but brave bank clerk played by Mary Steenburgen in what was only Mary's second film, and she is delightful in it. There are also some romantic scenes in the movie which have an extra ring of truth to them, because while this movie was being made, Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen fell in love for real and married a short time later. That marriage, for the record, lasting 10 years. The screenplay and direction of our movie is by Nicholas Meyer, who, with this film, made his directorial debut. Meyer, most famous at the time for writing the best-selling novel The 7% Solution, in which Sherlock Holmes became friendly with Sigmund Freud. So Meyer was already quite good at mixing two icons, one a real person from history, the other a fictional character, something he also does with our film. Meyer, by the way, made some big marks in the movie business 3 years later for directing the 1982 film Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, considered one of the most popular films in that very successful series. But here also with David Warner in the cast, plus music by the great Miklos Rozsa. From 1979, here's Time After Time. This film was one of the last with a music score by the legendary Miklos Rozsa. Rozsa was a 3-time Oscar winner whose music scores included Ben-Hur, Spellbound, and The Thief of Baghdad. He was long considered one of the most distinguished composers working in films in the 40s and 50s, someone who always gave his movies a great deal of elegance and sweep. But by the late 1970s, studio executives didn't want big, sweeping scores for their movies anymore, and the director of this film, Nicholas Meyer, had to really fight to get Rozsa hired. But you know what? The result was one of the most praised musical scores of any movie that year. Up next, another visit from Jack the Ripper, this time courtesy of England's Hammer Film Studios, meaning there's mayhem and there's murder ahead.